Let me start by saying this loud, clear, and with conviction. Your life does not change by accident. It changes by decision. Too many people wake up on Monday tired, frustrated, and unfulfilled, not because the weekend was too short, but because their vision was too small. Weekends are not just breaks from work. They are bridges to purpose. They are proof that rest, joy, and preparation can exist at the same time. Now hear this. Wonderful weekends don't just happen to certain people. They are created. They are designed by mindset, intention, and discipline. When people learn how to work with focus during the week and live with purpose on the weekend, something powerful happens. Confidence grows. Creativity wakes up. Families reconnect. Dreams stop waiting and start moving. A wonderful weekend isn't only about fun. It's about balance. It's about laughing hard, resting deeply, planning wisely, and believing boldly. It's about understanding that joy is not a reward. You are allowed to have it now. When you protect your peace, invest in your growth, and honor your time, your weekends stop draining you and start refueling you. And let me tell you something important. How you use your weekends reveals how much you believe in your future. People who expect more from life prepare for more. They read, they reflect, they reset. They don't just escape the week. They elevate from it. So here's the truth you need to carry with you. You deserve a life that feels good and goes somewhere. You deserve weekends that restore your energy and sharpen your vision. But it requires responsibility. It requires intention. And it requires courage to stop wasting time and start building something meaningful. Now this is where the shift happens. Starting today, take ownership of your weekends. Plan them with purpose, protect them with discipline, use them to grow, to heal, to dream, and to act. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Decide right now that your time matters and your future is worth the effort. Because when you choose better weekends, you choose a better life. Go out there, take control, and make every weekend a step closer to the life you say you want. Life does not shift because circumstances suddenly improve, because someone notices your effort, or because the timing feels right. It changes the moment a person decides they are no longer willing to stay where they are. Decisions are the true turning points. Every breakthrough begins internally long before it ever shows up externally. People often wait for motivation, clarity, or confidence, but those things usually arrive after the decision has already been made. Waiting keeps life frozen. Deciding sets it in motion. A decision is powerful because it removes negotiation. When someone decides, excuses lose their strength. Fear may still exist, doubt may still speak, and uncertainty may still linger, but none of them are in control anymore. Indecision is what keeps people stuck in cycles they claim to hate. They complain about the same problems, feel frustrated by the same limitations, and relive the same disappointments because they never make a firm choice to change direction. Comfort becomes a cage when it is chosen over growth. Many people mistake hope for action. They hope things will get better, hope opportunities will come, hope circumstances will shift. But hope without decision produces nothing. A decision draws a line between the past and the future. It says, "This is no longer acceptable," and that statement alone begins to reshape behavior. Once a person decides, they start waking up differently, thinking differently, and responding differently. Their priorities adjust, their habits evolve, and their standards rise, not because life became easier, but because their mindset became firmer. Every meaningful change carries discomfort. Decisions demand sacrifice, consistency, and accountability. That is why so many people delay them. It is easier to blame external factors than to confront the responsibility of choice. But avoiding decisions doesn't protect peace. It prolongs frustration. Growth requires ownership. and ownership starts with deciding to stop reacting to life and start directing it. When someone chooses direction, they reclaim control over their time, energy, and focus. Decisions also reveal belief. People decide based on what they truly think is possible for them. If someone believes their life is limited, their decisions will be small and cautious. If they believe growth is available, their decisions will stretch them. The quality of a person's life often mirrors the quality of their decisions. Small decisions repeated daily quietly shape outcomes, while one bold decision can completely reroute a future. There is no perfect moment to decide. Waiting for certainty is another form of delay. Most people who succeed did not know every step in advance. They simply knew they could no longer stay the same. Momentum favors the decisive. Once movement begins, clarity follows. Progress teaches lessons that waiting never will. The moment a decision is made, life responds differently, not because the world changes instantly, but because the person engaging with it has changed. Weekends are often treated like an escape hatch, a brief pause from responsibility before returning to routine. But they carry far more power than most people realize. They are not meant to be empty spaces on the calendar or just recovery time from a draining week. When approached with intention, weekends become a bridge between where someone is and where they want to go. They create space to reconnect with purpose, evaluate direction, and realign priorities without the constant pressure of deadlines and obligations. The way a person uses their weekend reveals whether they are living reactively or proactively. Reacting means filling time with distractions simply to avoid stress, while proactive living means using free time to build strength for the next chapter. Rest is important, but rest without awareness turns into stagnation. Purposeful weekends allow people to slow down enough to hear their own thoughts, recognize what is working, and confront what is no longer serving them. In that quiet space, clarity begins to form. Weekends offer something weekdays often cannot: mental freedom. With fewer interruptions and reduced urgency, the mind becomes more creative and reflective. This is where ideas are born, goals are refined, and long-term visions are revisited. People who grow consistently understand that progress does not only happen during working hours. It happens during moments of reflection, planning, and self-investment. A single intentional weekend can reset motivation and reignite belief that felt lost during a hectic week. There is also a relational side to weekends that contributes to purpose. Time spent reconnecting with family, friends, or oneself strengthens emotional stability and reinforces why hard work matters in the first place. Purpose is not only about ambition, it is also about meaning. When people nurture relationships and personal well-being, they return to their responsibilities more focused and grounded. This balance prevents burnout and keeps effort aligned with values rather than pressure. Purposeful weekends also prepare individuals for opportunity. Growth rarely announces itself in advance. It favors those who are ready. When someone uses weekends to learn, plan, organize, or reflect, they are quietly positioning themselves for what comes next. They build skills, confidence, and awareness that others overlook while chasing temporary distractions. Over time, these small, intentional choices compound into noticeable advancement. Treating weekends as a bridge requires a shift in mindset. It means seeing free time as an asset rather than something to be wasted. It means understanding that relaxation and preparation can coexist. A weekend can include rest and joy while still moving life forward. This approach transforms weekends from short breaks into powerful transitions that connect effort with fulfillment and vision with action. Wonderful weekends are not the result of luck, money, or perfect circumstances. They are the outcome of mindset and discipline working together. The way A person thinks about their time determines how that time is used. If weekends are seen as something to survive or recover from exhaustion, they will always feel rushed and unfulfilling. But when weekends are viewed as valuable, limited, and meaningful, behavior naturally changes. Mindset shapes intention, and intention shapes action. Discipline is what turns good intentions into reality. Without it, even the best mindset collapses under distraction and procrastination. Discipline does not mean rigid schedules or removing joy. It means choosing what matters most before everything else tries to claim attention. People with wonderful weekends make conscious choices about how they spend their time. They decide when to rest, when to connect, and when to invest in growth. This level of control creates freedom rather than restriction. Mindset determines priorities. A person who believes their future matters will protect their time differently than someone who feels stuck or defeated. Discipline supports that belief by enforcing boundaries. It may mean saying no to activities that drain energy, limiting habits that waste hours, or creating routines that support balance. These small acts of discipline add structure to weekends, preventing them from disappearing without impact. Wonderful weekends also require emotional discipline. It takes self-awareness to recognize when rest is needed and when avoidance is disguised as relaxation. Mindset helps differentiate between the two. True rest restores energy and clarity, while avoidance leaves people feeling empty and unprepared. Discipline ensures that rest is intentional and not excessive, allowing people to enjoy downtime without guilt or regret. Another key aspect is consistency. One productive or joyful weekend is helpful, but consistent intentional weekends transform lives. Discipline keeps people aligned even when motivation fades. Mindset reminds them why the effort matters. Over time, this consistency builds confidence. People begin to trust themselves more because they follow through on their intentions. That self-trust becomes a foundation for larger goals and stronger self-belief. Wonderful weekends are also built through mental boundaries. Constant noise, comparison, and overstimulation can steal peace. A disciplined mindset chooses moments of silence, reflection, and presence. It allows space for thought, creativity, and gratitude. These moments recalibrate emotions and provide perspective that is often lost during busy weeks. When mindset and discipline work together, weekends stop feeling chaotic or wasted. They become intentional experiences that support both enjoyment and progress. People feel refreshed, focused, and prepared rather than anxious or behind. This balance is not accidental. It is practice. Each choice reinforces the belief that time is valuable and that a fulfilling life is built deliberately. One weekend at a time, the way a person spends their week quietly exposes what they truly believe about their future. Words can say anything, but behavior tells the truth. When someone believes their future holds promise, growth, and opportunity, they treat their time with respect. They do not see free hours as meaningless gaps to fill with distraction. They see them as investments. Every choice made when there is no obligation, no boss watching, and no deadline pressing reflects the level of expectation a person has for their own life. People who believe in a better future prepare for it even when no immediate reward is visible. They understand that progress often happens privately before it ever becomes public. Weekends become a testing ground for discipline and vision. Choosing to learn something new, reflect on goals, or rest intentionally instead of escaping responsibility signals a belief that tomorrow is worth preparing for. On the other hand, repeatedly avoiding growth during free time often reveals doubt, fear, or a lack of confidence in what lies ahead. Belief shapes effort. When someone expects little from the future, they protect nothing in the present. Time is spent carelessly because it feels inconsequential, But when belief is strong, time becomes sacred. Even moments of rest are chosen with purpose, not as a way to avoid life, but as a way to sustain it. This belief-driven behavior builds momentum. Small decisions made consistently during weekends compound into noticeable progress over time. There is also courage hidden in how weekends are used. Investing time in the future requires facing uncertainty. Reading, planning, or self-reflection can be uncomfortable because they force people to confront where they are versus where they want to be. Those who believe in growth are willing to sit with that discomfort. They understand that clarity comes from engagement, not avoidance. Their weekends may still include fun and relaxation, but there is an underlying intention guiding those choices. Weekends also reveal whether someone sees themselves as capable. People who believe in their potential take steps to strengthen it. They develop skills, organize their lives, and prepare mentally for challenges ahead. These actions are not driven by pressure, but by expectation. They expect opportunities, improvement, and progress, so they prepare accordingly. This preparation builds confidence, which reinforces belief, creating a cycle of growth that continues week after week. Even the simplest weekend habits can reflect belief. Waking up with intention instead of drifting through the day, setting aside time to think instead of numbing the mind, or planning the upcoming week instead of dreading it all communicate an inner message. The future matters. These choices may seem small in the moment, but they shape identity over time. People become what they repeatedly choose when they are free to choose, and weekends offer the clearest window into what someone truly expects from their life. Joy and rest are often misunderstood as luxuries that must be earned only after exhaustion, success, or sacrifice. But they are actually essential elements of a sustainable and fulfilling life. When people treat rest as a reward instead of a necessity, they push themselves into cycles of burnout and resentment. Constant striving without renewal drains creativity, weakens focus, and erodes passion. True progress requires periods of restoration, not as an afterthought, but as a foundational practice. Rest is not the absence of effort, it is preparation for it. The mind and body are designed to recover so they can perform at their best. When rest is neglected, even the most motivated individuals begin to lose clarity and emotional balance. Joy functions in a similar way. It replenishes energy, strengthens resilience, and reminds people why their work and goals matter. Without joy, ambition becomes heavy and life starts to feel like a burden rather than a journey. Seeing joy as essential shifts how people approach their time. Instead of feeling guilty for slowing down, they become intentional about creating moments that restore them. This could be laughter, meaningful conversation, creative expression, or simple stillness. These moments are not wasted. They are investments in emotional health. When joy is prioritized, stress loses its grip, and people respond to challenges with greater patience and confidence. Rest also plays a critical role in decision making. A rested mind processes information more clearly and makes better choices. Fatigue leads to impulsive behavior, avoidance, and poor judgment. When people allow themselves proper rest, they become more self-aware and grounded. This clarity improves not only productivity, but also relationships and self-trust. Rested individuals are more present, more patient, and more capable of handling pressure. Joy and rest also reinforce self-worth. Treating them as necessities sends a powerful internal message. Life is not only about output and performance. It affirms that personal well-being matters. This belief strengthens boundaries and encourages healthier relationships with work and ambition. People who honor their need for rest are less likely to overextend themselves for validation or approval. They move from a place of wholeness rather than depletion. When joy and rest are consistently neglected, life becomes survival focused. People begin to live for breaks instead of building a rhythm that supports them daily. Over time, this imbalance leads to disengagement and loss of purpose. Integrating joy and rest regularly creates sustainability. It allows people to pursue goals with energy instead of exhaustion and ambition without bitterness. These elements are not signs of weakness or indulgence. They are the fuel that keeps passion alive and progress possible. Taking ownership of time is one of the most powerful acts of personal responsibility a person can make. Time moves forward regardless of intention, but how it is used determines the direction of a life. When individuals fail to take control of their time, they allow external demands, distractions, and habits to dictate their days. Ownership means deciding in advance what deserves attention and what does not. It is a shift from reacting to life to directing it with purpose. Time ownership begins with awareness. Many people underestimate how much time they lose to unfocused activity, unnecessary obligations, or avoidance. Once awareness is developed, choice becomes possible. Protecting time requires boundaries, and boundaries require clarity. People must decide what aligns with their values and goals and what pulls them away from them. This clarity transforms time from something that disappears into something that produces results. Acting with purpose means aligning daily behavior with long-term intention. Purpose is not a vague idea. It is reflected in consistent action. When time is owned, actions become deliberate. People schedule rest, work, learning, and connection instead of hoping they will happen naturally. This intentional structure creates balance and reduces stress. Life feels less chaotic when time is treated as a resource rather than an enemy. Ownership of time also builds confidence. Each follow-through reinforces trust in oneself. When people keep commitments to their own growth, they strengthen self-respect. This internal trust fuels momentum. Instead of feeling behind or overwhelmed, individuals feel capable and in control. Small, consistent actions taken over time compound into meaningful progress. Protecting time also means recognizing its limits. Time is finite, and saying yes to everything leads to dilution of focus. Purpose-driven individuals understand the cost of overcommitment. They choose depth over volume, quality over quantity. This selectiveness allows them to invest fully in what matters most. It also creates space for reflection and adjustment, which are essential for long-term growth. Building a better life does not require dramatic changes all at once. It requires consistent ownership of moments. Each choice either reinforces direction or distraction. When people take responsibility for how they spend their time, they begin to see patterns. Those patterns shape habits, and habits shape outcomes. Over time, intentional use of time creates a life that feels aligned rather than rushed, meaningful rather than busy, and directed rather than drifting.